The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly affected the lives and livelihood of billions of people around the world. This global health crisis not only threatens economies and health systems, but also endangers food security and nutrition. Now that we are at a risk of a global food emergency, is it still possible to achieve the goal of zero hunger? The Philippines experiences the highest rate of food insecurity in Southeast Asia. The country also faces an alarming nutrition situation. In the face of an expanding population, rapid urbanization, climate change, and deteriorating economy, the future of our country is uncertain. What are the plausible Philippine scenarios on food security and nutrition in the year 2050? We can only imagine. What if the pandemic imposed horrendous impacts on our country's economy? By the year 2050, the effects of the public health crisis on the lives and livelihood of the Filipino people still persist. With an ailing economy, millions of people are unemployed, the costs of living are soaring high, and the poverty incidence is exacerbated. Such economic and social conditions deprive people of access to basic necessities such as food, and further push Filipinos into the vicious cycle of poverty and inequality. This future scenario spells extreme food insecurity in the country, where millions of Filipino people are not only hungry, but also carry the triple burden of malnutrition. In the discourse on food security, climate change is a threat multiplier because agriculture and fisheries are highly dependent on the climate. What if climate change remains unresolved in the year 2050 and negatively affects food production and our food systems? In this future, the Philippines faces more frequent and severe disasters such as droughts, typhoons, and floods due to increasing temperature, changing rainfall patterns, and sea level rise. Such disasters adversely impact livelihood and food security by affecting crop yields, fruit and vegetable production, livestock production, as well as damaging our forests and marine ecosystems. Our farmers and fisherfolk are greatly affected by the impacts of climate change. As the main drivers of production and the primary source of food are devastated, the entire food system is disturbed. This worsens food scarcity where millions of hungry Filipinos compete for limited food resources. What if governments are proactive in addressing both issues on food consumption and production? Imagine if in the year 2050, cities in the Philippines are self-reliant and self-sufficient in terms of food. A food-secure urban ecosystem is in place where there are efficient processes from food input and production up to the food supply chains, processing, and marketing. In urban areas, idle lands are turned into community gardens where local residents produce their own food and participate in local market and cooperative systems. Urban agriculture is further developed where vegetables, fruits, and other plants can be grown by the people and for the people. Consequently, this promotes nutritious and healthy food for the communities. With the abundance of urban gardens in various communities and robust food systems in place, food security in the Philippines is ensured. People are fed properly, health and nutrition in the communities are guaranteed, and these will ultimately influence the kind of lives and lifestyles that the Filipino people have to live. In this future, through the proactive role of national and local governments, the four pillars of food security are established: availability, access, utilization, and stability. Cities and communities in the Philippines are not only food secure, but also food resilient. Even better, what if the national and local governments foster collaboration with the academe, non-government organizations, and the private sector? Imagine in 2050, various stakeholders enter into partnership and collaboration in implementing programs and initiatives towards a food secure and healthy Philippines. The academe is at the forefront of research and policy development. Universities are playing an active role in discovering effective and efficient processes related to food security and nutrition that can inform policy directions. Non-government organizations, on the other hand, work towards mobilizing and organizing communities through rights-based and participatory approaches. NGOs encourage more people to actively participate in various initiatives that lay the foundation of bayanihan in their respective communities. Lastly, private sector organizations can lend their expertise and resources in developing technologies, processes, and systems that improve the current food systems in place. Private organizations can initiate public-private partnerships with local governments to mobilize sustainable food production chains. Ultimately, the partnerships of local and national governments with academe, NGOs, and the private sector open avenues for a more sustainable and holistic approach to ensuring a food secure and healthy Philippines. This includes addressing other important issues such as economy, climate change, and environmental protection, among others. What would the situations on food security and nutrition in the Philippines look like in the year 2050? No one knows for sure, but certainly, the future lies in our hands. As Filipinos, what we do today will define our future. Despite all the challenges that our country faces today, together, let us work towards a sustainable and food secure Philippines, free from hunger and malnutrition.